Hi and welcome. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can use element visibility trigger for different pages. For example, we have 3 to 4 pages where we want to fire an event based on the visibility of that page, not by using the page URL. So, for example, if we preview this page, so from GTM, if we want to see this page, just reloading the page fires the trigger if we use the trigger as the page view. For example, if we use the page view and mention the page URL which contains or equals the page URL, if we use this one, then the page view, will be fired, trigger will be fired, and we can use this in any tag. This is very helpful, but the page loads itself, but the um, particular intention of the user was not to view the page. For example, I've landed on this page, but I didn't stay here. I went to another page, for example, in the order section. So in those cases, my intention was not to, stay on that page. The customer simply, landed on the page by clicking the URL and then moved to another page. So in that case, we cannot, say that the page was viewed properly. The customer stayed on the page for several seconds and saw everything. We cannot say that particularly. So in that case, we can simply use the element visibility trigger. Um, Let me explain why. So in the element visibility trigger, we can simply use the ID of the page. For example, for this page, the ID should be in the inspect section. So here the ID is this one. Let's copy this, and if we use it in the element visibility section in the ID, and we can simply choose every time the element appears on the screen or once per page. And we can also, set minimum criteria. For example, if 50% of the page has been viewed, and for a minimum like 1500 millisecond, which is 1.5 seconds, so we can simply, use this criteria to specify that the page was viewed, the customer's page stayed on the page for a certain period, so that we can call it an event. But just landing on the page and going to another page doesn't mean the page was viewed properly. It was just landed or reloaded. So in that case, to significantly distinguish between the page view event based on page URL loading and element visibility, we can simply use element visibility trigger. So now for multiple pages, for example, I want to set the event for 1, 2, and 3 pages. So I can simply use the ID from this page. One way is to, create 3 triggers for 3 pages. This is one way, and then use it in the tag. And another way is to extract the ID of the page or the element. So this way we can use different multiple pages, and it will only extract one ID, because not all the IDs are present on each page. For example, let me show you. If we inspect this page and go here and see that this is the ID of the banner, let me find this banner ID in some other page. For example, let us go to this page. Now, if we right click and inspect the page, we will simply search the ID, Control F and V. You can see the ID is not present here because this ID is only present in the home page. So this is how we can distinguish different pages. For example, in service page, we can see what is the ID here. We can simply see the ID is product grid. Let me go to contact page and see what is the ID there. And now if you right click and inspect, and let us type Control F, and you can see that there is no ID called the banner template. So we can easily say that the IDs are unique for separate pages. So we can simply take the 3 pages ID and use it in the element visibility. The ID, for example, this one, then the ID of service page, which was the UL product, something like that, product grid. We can create separate triggers like the way I've been creating. 50 set minimum time for 1500 milliseconds. Save the home page visibility trigger. Save. Then again we can create another trigger for service view trigger and select the same way like element visibility, the ID and the UL product grid 50% and minimum duration is 1500 millisecond, and we can save this. So this is how we can create three different triggers for three pages. But there is another way which we can use a simple JavaScript code so that it extracts the ID of the separate pages, which then can simply be used in creating the element visibility. Just we have to select the variable here. So let me demonstrate that part, and let me first review this page so that we can see that the triggers are firing that we have set just now. So we have stayed here. The page should be loaded. Let the page load. Window has been loaded. Now let's go to the page and let's stay there for 1.5 seconds. And we can see the element visibility has been fired, which was the banner ID, this one. So this is how we can simply, trigger those events, and we can use this trigger in different kind of tags. For example, we can simply create a new tag here, uh, GA4 tag, and we can, we need to set the measurement ID, and then we can select here the event name as page or home page viewed, and we can simply use the trigger as the home page. So this is how we can now trigger this tag, which is the home page viewed, and send this information to Google Analytics 4. But this is not the way we are going to do. This is creating triggers and triggers for every page is very much lengthy process. So let me show you something different here. Let me delete this first and preview this so that we can ensure that no element visibility has been fired. So the page has been loaded here, and we're roaming the page for 1.5 seconds and more, but we can see no element visibility is here. So now let us select this page's ID to write the code which will be used for that element visibility trigger. So let us copy this ID and write the code. Let us see what comes here. This is the ID. Now, if we want to extract this ID, what we need to do is to extract this ID to get the attribute. We can see the ID is here, which is this one. So this is the ID. You can see. Now, same way we have to write the whole code, and the code should be something like this function. Well, you can see we're getting the product ID, which is this one. So now this is how we're going to make the code here. Write the code here. Now we are going to get the attributes. For example, um, and if I press enter, we can see that this product grid has been returned, extracted from this page. So this is how we can extract the ID from the page. Now, after doing this, let us use this code in the GTM. So let us go to the variable section and create a new custom JavaScript variable for page view element trigger. Select the custom variable, paste the code here, and then simply save. Now let us preview. Okay, the page has been loaded. Now let us see what our variable returns here. This is the one that we created, page view element trigger, which is showing the element here. Let us go to another page, for example, the service page. Window has loaded. Let's go to our window loaded, and we can see that page view element trigger is returning the product grid, which is page view element trigger, this one. So we're getting a trigger IDs for the trigger condition. Now let's create a trigger. The trigger should be element visibility. The ID, in the ID we will be selecting the specific ID. We will just give a variable which is the page view element trigger, and the trigger name should be, let's set the condition here. Once per page is good for us. 50%, like we can reduce it 25%, and set the minimum time for 2000 milliseconds, for 2 seconds actually. Let's save, and now let's preview. Now let us first see the variable in the window loader section. Our variable page view element trigger is showing the ID. So let us be the page and just return for before 2 seconds. We can see nothing happened. Again go and let's move back quickly. The total time was 2 seconds in the page. So element visibility was fired. And we can see the trigger is this one. If I go to service or contact page again, if the 2 second is completed in this page, you will find that element visibility has been fired here, which is, for example, this is the ID contact form, which will be matching with our contact form. So this is how we can use JavaScript code to extract multiple pages IDs and use that on a single page view element trigger. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching.